It only takes one click, one desperate decision, one moment where fear whispers louder than logic. And that afternoon, inside a small downtown diner filled with the smell of burnt toast and fresh coffee, a young woman was seconds away from making a choice that could have destroyed her life. If you believe in second chances, financial wisdom, and stories that remind us how close we sometimes come to disaster, take a moment right now to like this video, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel Quiet Lessons. Your support helps stories like this reach people who might need them most. Now let me tell you what happened. The diner sat on the corner of Maple and 8th Street. Nothing fancy. Just vinyl booths, scratched wooden tables, and a neon sign that buzzed faintly even during the day. Emily Carter had worked there for 6 months. Before that, she worked at a packaging plant outside town until the layoffs came without warning. 15 years of routine replaced by a cardboard box and a final paycheck. The diner wasn't her dream. It was survival. Every morning she tied her apron strings with stiff fingers and reminded herself, one day at a time. But one day at a time felt heavier lately. Her rent was 2 weeks overdue. Her mother's hospital bills from heart surgery were stacked in a drawer at home. Her younger sister Lily had just received an acceptance letter to college, and the excitement in her voice still echoed in Emily's mind. How are we going to afford this? Lily had whispered late one night. Emily didn't have an answer. That afternoon, the diner was unusually busy. The clatter of dishes blended with the hiss of the espresso machine. That's when they walked in. 3 sharply dressed men, too polished for the worn booths. They spoke loudly, confidently, as if the room belonged to them. One of them, tall, slick hair, perfect smile, introduced himself as Darren Holt. They ordered coffee but didn't drink much of it. Instead, they started talking, not quietly. They talked about cryptocurrency, about doubling money in weeks, about exclusive access to a trading system that ordinary people didn't know about. Emily tried to focus on refilling cups. But her ears betrayed her. Guaranteed returns. Early investors already cashing out. Minimum entry just $500. Her heart skipped. $500. That was exactly what she had in her emergency savings. The money she'd built slowly from tips and skipped lunches. Darren noticed her hesitation as she lingered near their table. "You ever think about investing?" he asked casually. She laughed nervously. "I don't really have that kind of money. That's the beauty of it," he said smoothly. "You don't need much. Just enough to start. People like us? We don't wait around hoping life changes. We make it change." His words landed carefully, like hooks. She imagined it. Paying off rent. Clearing hospital bills. Helping Lily start college without fear. The vision was intoxicating. Darren slid a brochure toward her. "This is your shot," he said. "But it won't last forever." She scanned the paper quickly. High returns. Fast growth, limited time. It all sounded too good. But desperation can make too good feel like destiny. When she hesitated, Darren's tone shifted slightly. "Look," he said quietly, leaning closer. "Everyone who hesitates misses out. Don't be the one stuck serving coffee while others build wealth." The comment stung, not because it was cruel, but because it hit a wound she already carried. Around them, customers pretended not to notice. The manager stayed behind the counter, uncomfortable but silent. Emily's fingers trembled as she pulled out her phone. $500. Her last safety net. Her thumb hovered over the banking app. And then, "Stop." The voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. At a nearby booth sat a man in his early 40s, wearing a simple gray sweater. No expensive watch. No flashy shoes. His name was Daniel Brooks. He had been sitting quietly, reviewing charts on a tablet. Now he stood. "That's not opportunity," he said calmly. "That's pressure." Darren rolled his eyes. "Mind your business." Daniel stepped closer, not aggressive, just composed. "You're asking her for immediate transfer? No registered firm name? No verified documentation?" he asked evenly. Darren smirked. You some kind of expert? Actually, Daniel replied, pulling up a regulatory website on his phone. Yes. He showed Emily the screen. A warning alert. The company name listed on their brochure appeared flagged for fraudulent activity. High-yield crypto scheme. Under investigation. Emily's stomach dropped. Darren's confidence flickered. That's old news, he snapped. Fake rumors. Daniel didn't react. Real investments don't rush you, he said quietly. They don't shame you. And they don't promise guarantees. The room felt different now. People were listening. Darren scoffed, but he stepped back. Daniel calmly dialed the financial fraud hotline and reported the solicitation happening inside the diner. Within minutes, 2 officers arrived. The men protested loudly but were escorted out under watchful eyes. Silence settled over the diner. Emily sat down heavily in the nearest booth. Her hands were shaking. 5 seconds. She had been 5 seconds away from losing everything. Daniel handed her a napkin. You okay? She nodded, but tears welled in her eyes. I almost did it, she whispered. That's how they work, Daniel said gently. They prey on urgency, fear of missing out. Financial pressure. The manager approached, apologizing for not stepping in sooner. Daniel looked at him calmly. Ignoring risk doesn't make it disappear, he said. It makes someone else pay for it. After the police left, Daniel returned to his seat. But before leaving, he placed a simple business card on Emily's table. On it read, Brooks Financial Literacy Foundation. You didn't lose anything today, he said. That's a win. But let's make sure next time you don't even get close. The next morning, Emily stared at the card for a long time. Then she went. The foundation office was modest, nothing flashy. Charts on walls. Whiteboards filled with notes about budgeting, compound interest, emergency funds. Daniel wasn't a Wall Street stereotype. He had spent years in investment banking, yes. But he had also seen families lose homes chasing shortcuts. That's why he left. To teach people what no one had taught them. Money is emotional, Daniel told the small workshop group that day. Fear makes us reckless. Greed makes us blind. But discipline builds freedom. Emily listened carefully. For the first time, someone explained finance without jargon. They talked about building a 3-month emergency fund. About tracking expenses honestly. About safe investing. About the difference between speculation and strategy. Weeks turned into months. Emily cut unnecessary expenses. She picked up extra weekend shifts temporarily. She built a small emergency fund again, this time with structure. Daniel helped her open a low-cost index fund account with full transparency. No promises of doubling money overnight. Just steady growth. Slow, real. 6 months later, she paid off her overdue rent completely. A year later, she contributed to Lily's first semester tuition. It wasn't magic. It wasn't viral. It was discipline. One afternoon, she stood in the same diner, sunlight hitting the booths just like before. But this time, she felt different, stronger, not because she got rich, but because she didn't fall. Fear had almost cost her everything, but knowledge saved her. Before we end this story, take a second to reflect. How many decisions in life are made from panic? How many scams survive because someone feels behind? If this story reminded you to pause before making financial decisions, to research before trusting hype, or to build slowly instead of gambling fast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Quiet Lessons. Tell me in the comments, have you ever almost fallen for something that seemed too good to be true? Because in the world of money, the biggest danger isn't starting small. It's believing there's a shortcut to big. And sometimes, the greatest wealth isn't in what you gain. It's in what you don't lose.